I'll just talk to you a little bit about myself and my background and a little bit about my practice. So I was born in County Mayo on a rural farm, an area in the west of Ireland. I have three siblings. In my 20s, I took to travelling, as do many 20-year-olds, but it was cities really that kind of captured me. The first city I travelled to was Sydney. There was something about the city and how people occupied it which has always interested me within my work, even while I was in college. It was lines. It was those vertical lines. It was lines in all different directions. I think from a rural perspective, from where I'd grown up on the farm, it was the beautiful long horizontal line that I was so frequently looking at on a daily basis. However, when I spent time in cities, it was those vertical lines, those perspective lines. It was lines in all sorts of different directions. Even to this day, it's still lines that I'm so interested in. So once I went to Sydney, I really looked at this investigation into urban environments, and I began drawing cityscapes at that time. It wasn't until I went to New York some years later for the first time that it had such a completely different feeling. The city experience in New York was so entirely different to any other city I had travelled to. And it took some years for me to work out what exactly it was that I felt while I was there. Even to this day, I kind of struggle a little bit with the feelings. One of the areas I nailed it down to was the familiarity of the city. So in the 90s, New York was quite prominent on TV. There was movies, TV series, is in books, magazines, images adorned New York in so many different areas. So when I went there, I guess I felt not as awed in the sense that it was such a brand new place. It was a place I had seen the environment so many other times before, but there was something else about it. Now, for almost a decade, I have been capturing New York cityscapes and the New York urban environment. And primarily, one of the reasons is because of that familiarity of place. It is a place that people connect to, connect with. They understand, they have seen the images of the city, and it's almost instantly recognizable. Something that has been very important to me in my practice has been the inclusion of all people within the work that I create. So I like to create artworks of places and experience of places, which gives a regular person an opportunity to appreciate the art. So why charcoal? It's a question I get asked quite a bit actually. I guess it's not a medium of choice when it comes to architectural drawing. Charcoal is similar to the medium that first prompted my picture making back in Ireland when I lived on the farm. County Mayo, quite often than not, families would go to the boglands and save the turf. The turf is what we used to extract from the peatland, and it was what we used to dry and use as fuel for the winter. While we were in the bog, we quite often than not would find old, preserved bog oak. Bog oak, sometimes hundreds and thousands of years old. It was not dissimilar to charcoal. I'd bring home those pieces of bog oak and sometimes I'd draw with them. Charcoal was a familiar tool for me. It's almost like the tool I used to create the language for the familiar and for what I wanted to express in my work.